Hello, YouTube land. It's me, Roger on the left, and coming to you. Actually, I'm in Orange County, and I'm with my partner. She's going to be off camera. I think you'll be able to detect her voice. I ran a test with this microphone, and it's pretty. What's this microphone here? Why not show it? Look at this setup. It makes it look like I'm a broadcaster. Hello, everyone. Enjoy the show. Anyway, she'll be off camera and she'll be voicing her opinions because I like having spicy convos with her. That sounds bad, but you know what I mean. Political stuff. And I just caught, I think what we're going to be discussing today is RBN, Revolutionary Blackout Network.
Revolutionary. Is it Blackout? I thought it was Revolutionary Black Network. I don't know. RBN.
Yeah, it's not a very good name, right? Because they had to change their name from Fred Hampton leftists, and then everyone made fun of them because Fred Hampton's son didn't authorize it, which I didn't even know Fred Hampton's son could control the use of his name. Is it like George Lucas who sued Luther Campbell because Luther Campbell tried to call himself Luke Skywalker for a while? Is it like that? I don't know. It just seems kind of ridiculous. But yeah, so they had to change their name. And recently they did a couple of things. They did a video which was on Marianne Williamson and the Politico article on Marianne Williamson. The other thing happened that we want to discuss today happened on Twitter because RBN, the head of RBN, I consider him the head, Socialist MMA, and you know him better than I do.
I followed him for longer than you have, but I rarely interact with him. But yeah, I know him. Yeah.
Right. So, he was tweeting today, and he threw a leftist under the bus, a black woman, coming to the aid and defense of Jimmy Dore. In other words, he was defending Jimmy Dore from criticism from a black female leftist. I know people don't like it when I use the word female, but you know what I mean. A woman. And instead of showing solidarity with her, he showed solidarity with Jimmy Dore. And so I want to discuss that because RBN is kind of problematic. You know, there are two groups in the left, more or less. The first group, which is really, really big, basically they're Democrats. They're the progressive Democrats. And on the right side of that, you've got people like David Pakman. And as you move to the left, you get Cenk Uygur and Sam Cedar and, you know, people like that. Then Kulinski and David Sirota and these kinds of people, which are more useful than David Pakman. But they're attached to capitalism. They're attached to the Democratic Party. And then you've got people outside of the Democratic Party, and most of them, I'm not talking about legit Marxists or anarchists, I'm talking about the people that have left through Jimmy Dore. Jimmy Dore is the nexus of that, what you might call post-left. They're Dem-exit, post-left people, and that's Jimmy Dore at the center of it. And then you've got other people there like people like that. So and who else is in that group that we can think of besides Jimmy Dore? Caleb Maupin, Jackson Hinkle, Samira Khan. You have all, and then RBN is sort of attached to that because they're definitely Dem-exit. They think of themselves as leftists, but Socialist MMA in particular is problematic because his qualifiers basically are: do you hate liberals, and do you hate the American war machine? As long as you're going to come down as being critical of the war machine, that's not really anti-imperialism, but okay, whatever. You're critical of the American war machine and you hate freaking liberals, which is what he spends most of his time on, then you're in like Flynn, right? So it's kind of a problematic organization. As witnessed by the fact that if you want to be black and radical, read the Black Agenda Report. And the Black Agenda Report was very critical of the Rage Against the War Machine rally. And RBN, on the other hand, who think of themselves as black radicals, they were very supportive of this rally. That, like, I don't know, 1,200 people showed up, and it was a big waste of time. I could do various hand signals, but I won't. I'll be polite. But basically, it was just all a waste. And they were very supportive of that, and they attacked RBN. They attacked everyone who was critical of that. But, I mean, it's problematic because that Rage Against the War rally turned out to be a meet and greet between people who were slightly left and Nazis, plus people who used to be Nazis and now they're saying they're Marxist-Leninists, and then people who are like LaRoucheites, like Lyndon LaRouche aficionados. Basically, it was like, oh, look, it's, you know, it's like Comic-Con, but instead of it being for comic book fans, it was like for cult people. Like, oh, look, here are the LaRouche people, and here are the Stalin people, and here are the anarcho-capitalists, you know, this kind of thing. And they're all basically in a cult, and that's what the meeting was about. It was a meet and greet. And they insisted, RBN insists that this is what they have to do for peace. They have to form alliances with these people. But the thing is, you're likely, Jimmy Dore has already, by the way, that's why you're likely, because you are likely to compromise your own stated values and make concessions to the right. Everyone thinks that they're going to talk these right-wingers into being left-wingers, but it actually works the other way. Jimmy Dore is the kind of guy that says, I'm going to stare into the abyss, and if the abyss stares at me, I'm just going to make the abyss be more like me. No, you stare into the abyss and you lose yourself. That's the whole idea. That's why these people are enthusiastic about coming to these events with leftists, because they want to move leftists to their camp. They want the legitimacy of the left. The word socialist is so powerful that even elements of the right covet the word. And so when you associate with that, you're helping them. You are helping them legitimize themselves. So anyway, that's my problem, RBN and everything else. So they did I guess we're talking about that first. We're talking about their tweet. Did you catch the tweet?
I did catch it, yeah.
What'd you think of that?
Well, I mean, I know you follow the leftist that he attacked. I read through her thread, and I mean, it seemed pretty clear that he made an accusation against her that was completely not based in reality, and it really would not have cost him any effort to have looked. I don't know. Maybe he knows who she is. I don't know, but whatever. The attack that he made against her was not based in reality. So it was really unfair.
Yeah. So this black lady we're talking about tweets about the peace movement, has anti-imperialist tweets, cares about black people here in the United States, and has definite, leftist opinions. But because she didn't back Jimmy Dore, because she's critical of Jimmy Dore, he feels the need to attack her, and he actually said things about her which were just blatantly false, which he could have just gone to her page and searched, right, and he would have found. He accused her of not writing about black issues. This is another way of saying, if you don't like Jimmy Dore, well, then you're not black. So what he did is he did the exact same thing that President Joe Biden did with black activists. He's saying, like, if you don't back my campaign, you're not black. His version is a little bit more clever, but it's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what I think about that, but I think it's so embarrassing to RBN that Socialist MMA has to attack someone as not being black enough because she's critical of Jimmy Dore. He accused her of having Jimmy Dore derangement syndrome.
She's a pretty small account, isn't she?
Yes, she's smaller than they are. Yeah.
So I wonder what was it about what she said that got under their skin that made them attack like that?
Yeah. Because A, you don't like Jimmy Dore, and B, you don't like that peace rally because there are actual legit peace rallies going on.
Yeah.
So he actually felt the need to tweet about the other peace rally to back it. Because he felt the need, because he was under heat. But yeah, that's all it took. Because that's the thing. Like me, I did a video on Jimmy Dore and the NDAs, and I caught heat on that, even though I'm a very small account here on YouTube. And I got criticized for that, and it was complete nonsense. I mean, it's complete nonsense. It's not debatable. He's a capitalist. Jimmy Dore's a capitalist. And what he's doing, and it has to be said that if anyone, whether it's socialist MMA or whatever, if you're defending Jimmy Dore, you're defending a business enterprise. That's what he is. He's a businessman. And it's one thing if he were making money and then he had certain principles that he stuck to, right? But if you're going to be a leftist and you're going to back him, including his non-disclosure agreements and stuff, then I don't know what to tell you, because it seems to me like all these people like RBN, they just want to wear leftism as a cloak, and then they take it out whenever they need to, and then they get to put it away when it's too inconvenient. Well, I'm sorry, it's not just I hate the U.S. government and I hate liberals. It comes with a set of ideological commitments, right? So, anyway, I don't know. You had anything to add?
No, not really. I was sort of on the periphery of all that. Yeah, I wasn't really.
What about the other thing with them, RBN and Marianne Williamson? What do you think of Marianne Williamson as a candidate?
I mean, I don't even see her as an entity. Like, honestly, I don't even see her as anything worth discussing, because it's not.
We shouldn't talk about her.
It's not going to go anywhere. Like, it's just a waste of time. She does not have an eighth of the charisma that Bernie Sanders had. Like, she doesn't have any of this. Like, I mean, she's got pockets of support, but nothing. Like, she can't build a national coalition. She's, I mean, we've talked about what's going to happen to her in South Carolina. Like, it's going nowhere. It's not going to go anywhere. It's a waste of time.
South Carolina, for those of you who don't know, used to be the fourth primary after Nevada. So it would goes the Iowa caucuses,
then New Hampshire,
yeah. Then Nevada, and then South Carolina. And if you recall, and maybe you should recall if you're watching this, the South Carolina went fourth, and it was totally for Biden. And Biden wasn't finishing in the top three in any of these primaries. He was losing pretty badly. And so he was hanging in the entire time, and his campaign was operating on a shoestring budget until they got to South Carolina, where he won. And then all of the Southern conservatives, well, first the moderates all dropped out, but then the Southern conservative voters ended up voting for him, and also in the Midwest, because he's much better in the Midwest than Hillary Clinton was. So he just basically ended Sanders' candidacy. Now, South Carolina.
I mean, there was a lot going on there, too. I mean, it was right in the middle of the pandemic, and then they were talking about people shouldn't go vote, and, I mean, there was a lot going on. But
there was a lot going on, but it's important to note that Hillary Clinton had a lot of trouble with Bernie in the Midwest.
Yeah.
Because she was hated, and no one put two and two together back then, of course, which is that, hey, if you win Texas and you win Louisiana in a Democratic primary, who cares? Who cares, right? Like, who cares? Like, that has nothing to do with the general election.
Right.
But in a Democratic primary, the Democrats have structured these southern states to be so important and so valuable, they call it Super Tuesday, because they know that you end up, empty suits run better in these states. That's why. Anyway, but you're right, there was a lot of confusion, too, and a lot of mixed messaging about how it was dangerous, but not too dangerous. You should go out and vote. Whatever.
They should cancel them.
Yeah.
And, there was a lot going on. People were scared.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
So it sounds to me like you're saying is dumb people voted.
Well, I voted.
Yeah.
So what does that tell you, I guess?
I don't know. But here's the thing. They're moving it up, so it's going to be the first primary, South Carolina. So
yeah, I mean, she's not going anywhere. If they could squash Bernie as swiftly and easily as they did, like why would they allow her to win? Like it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen.
Right. Anyway, so that's my general opinion. I made a couple of videos on that.
Yeah.
But now what happened is this story was released from Politico, and Kulinski, who was pushing Marianne Williamson for reasons I think are related to his business model, because if you're a progressive, what the heck are you going to talk about? What usually happens in the political coverage when there's an incumbent is they just talk about the other guys.
Yeah.
So they're going to do a lot of coverage of DeSantis and Trump and probably some other guy who thinks that the pyramids were grain silos, right?
Yeah.
The creatures from the Black Lagoon.
They weren't?
No, they weren't.
Oh, I thought they were.
No, they weren't.
I had read that somewhere.
No. Well, you should get a medical degree then. All of this stuff is like they're not going to cover Democrats at all. And if you think they're going to cover Marianne Williamson, it's only to make her look bad. Right?
Yeah.
And then so Politico comes out with this article, and it's entirely possible that elites or the people that run the Democratic Party are like they don't like her and they want to run this hit piece. That's a possibility. But what's fascinating about this piece that came out in Politico is that she commented on it. And by commenting on it, she confirmed three things. She confirmed, one, that she was hitting an automobile, a car, with her hand out of frustration, and that caused the hand to swell up such that she needed to seek medical help. That's one. Two, she confirmed that there were disgruntled employees out there, either that she communicated with via email, and she insists that they are trying to ingratiate themselves with the Democratic Party establishment, which is why they're saying that stuff. But she admits that they're out there, right? Because she could have just simply said, no one in my campaign hates me, everyone was treated well, clearly these sources never worked with me. She could have said that. Am I wrong?
No, you're right.
I mean, she could have said that.
Yeah.
But she didn't say that. What she said is, oh yeah, they're out there, but they're lying for a reason.
Because they want to further their careers.
Because they want to further their careers.
But RBN...
She's further away now, so you probably won't be able to hear her. Because whenever we do anything, she feels the need to clean. So,
I multitask.
Yeah, multitask. Now, what were you saying? She's,
that was RBN that we were watching just a few minutes ago, right?
Yeah, we were watching the RBN breakdown of the article.
Because they did make a good point, which was if these people were trying to further their careers, they would not have been anonymous. You know? I think.
Yeah, I think if you, I think it's a fine line. The thing is that there was a United States former congressman quoted in the article. He literally confirmed that her behavior is like this. That she yells at staff.
That was another thing she confirmed too.
She confirmed that there was yelling going on. She confirmed there was yelling going on in a hotel room, such that the staff of the hotel they were staying at, the staff had to check up on them.
Make sure everything was okay.
Yes. Make sure everything was okay. I mean, you do with that information what thou willst, but I would think it's pretty obvious. Like, if they're knocking on your door to check up on you, you're either arguing a lot or you're partying, you know? Like, you could be in flagrante delicto, if you know what I mean. But if it's not, I don't think that's what was happening. I don't think she was there having a party and taking cocaine or having an amorous relationship or something like that. I mean, that if they're checking up on you, it's got to be one of those things.
Yeah.
And so she confirmed that happened. So she confirmed two of the incidents, confirmed that she's got staff problems, and a U.S. congressman, former U.S. congressman, had said who was her staff.
Worked on her
he was He was her New Hampshire state director. Sorry if I'm not clear, but sometimes I make these videos and I kind of assume that you guys are watching Jimmy Dore or RBN, or that you guys know what's going on in the world of politics. I think a lot of people don't know who Marianne Williamson is, because she's completely...
Which goes to tell you it's a waste of time.
It's a waste of time. And so you might be thinking, why are we talking about? Why am I talking about this? I'm talking about this for a very important reason, and that is because if she's running, number one, it's going to take money from the working class and single moms and poor people, or people who are very close to poverty. Like if you're making $38,000 a year and you're a family of three, I think that's poor in this economy. And there are people out there who are itching to give this multimillionaire money. And if she takes 1 red cent, as I've said before, from working people, from single moms, I am dead set against that. That's number one. There's another issue which has to do with opportunity cost, and it has to do with the fact that it's important to talk about this because I think it demonstrates how completely and totally full of beans Democrats are.
I mean, she knows that she doesn't have a rat's chance in hell of winning the primary. She knows, she has to know, that she's not going to move anybody left. The conversation is not going to go, which is another argument that they make, is like, oh, well, we have to have these other voices because then it's going to move everybody to the left. If you have a leftist, if there's a leftist that's they're running against. Mm-hmm. But I mean, you saw with Bernie, that's not what happened. Biden didn't give any concessions to the left. He didn't give any concessions to the left. No,
and it's worse than that. It wasn't reflected in any of the platforms at the DNC. They didn't, despite 2 cycles, didn't get anything done about the superdelegates. The superdelegates are still there.
And they spend all this time now crapping all over the Bernie wing of the party. They've made that left wing their enemy.
Right. And it's very difficult to run in the party and be critical of the Democratic Party because right away at least half the people will hate you for that.
Right.
People should be happy about critics of the Democratic Party, but people don't like that. Look, there are a lot of voters who don't like, not every voter, but why does Nina Turner lose?
Right.
Because Nina Turner was critical of Joe Biden.
Right. And then one thing that they used to attack Brianna Joy Gray all the time. Oh, well, she was a Bernie, she was a Bernie surrogate or whatever. Like they use that now as a weapon. They've weaponized it. They've humiliated that wing of the party. They've humiliated them. So
right, and the thing of it is that, but it demonstrates. For example, I watched Kyle Kulinski over and over for 3 years. And I liked him. And he was always data-driven. And he kept it real. Which is that the last video I posted was an example of that. It's data-driven. It's analytical. It's honest. There isn't a single data point that mitigates in her favor. There isn't. The fact that there are pissed off politicos in New Hampshire or whatever, or in Indiana, that doesn't mean anything. It means nothing. Nothing. It means zero. Because if anybody is angry at the political at Biden has pissed off people so many times, and yet he still gets away with it because the party is irrational toward its own right wing. He's considered a legit Democrat, even though he works for the credit card companies, even though he for years he was a neo-segregationist. He hurt black people in the 1980s with his bills. He made it impossible for students to declare bankruptcy. He's just a weirdo, really. Objectively, an awful politician. Yet he gets away with it. Now, are people going to be so ticked off that they're going to end up voting in the other direction? I don't think so, right? I mean, I don't think that's not my reading of the situation.
No, I don't think so.
No. So that's probably what's going to happen. I fully anticipate that he can do a lot of really awful things and say a lot of awful things, and he's just going to sail on through. And so even if the polls show that people are dissatisfied with him, he's the incumbent. He's the incumbent, and incumbents succeed in their own party's primaries. That's just a fact. If you think about it for more than a second, you realize that makes total sense, because the signal that they would be sending to the general population by nominating Marianne Williamson would be, we made a mistake. We made a mistake with this guy, and they're not going to send that signal. So, anyway, did we have anything else to add? Nothing? All right, well, thank you very much for watching. We're going to move on to greener pastures, I'm hoping, next week with a better setup, although I like this microphone a lot. And we'll see how things go. Again, my partner here is off camera because she doesn't want to be seen, but I think she's very good. I like the repartee, and that's just my view, my opinion. Please comment, like, subscribe. Feel free to share the video. I am going to make more in the future, and of course you can follow me on Twitter, Roger on the left, and I will be talking to you guys in the future on other subjects as promised. I'm not going to make any promises because I always switch, right? Like I always switch the topic because these other things kind of rear their ugly head, and this one was definitely interesting to me because RBN, I'm sort of losing my patience with RBN. So the endless support for Jimmy Dore, I don't know, it balances out. Sometimes they're good and sometimes they're not, and mostly they're not good. But anyway, I will talk to you guys later. Thank you and bye.